the craziness of it is that so many people get caught up in, I'm going to go down to Mexico for a week and have this holiday, and then they're going to punish themselves for another 11 and a half months of the year up in the US or Canada or wherever they're from. Whereas you could just come down here and have that life down here, especially with people who are now working away from their work, like working online or whatever. We have Starlink here for our internet, and it's so fast. It's faster than any of the cable internet that I had up in Canada. You can virtually be in the office and do all your work, and you could get to live here and watch the whales, and at lunchtime go down to the beach and have a swim and hang out with your dog and do all those things.
Yeah.
So
no, I was listening to this the other day. It was like the new freedom is not, I guess when I was growing up, it was more like, hey, you get the nice house and you fill it with stuff, and it's like, then you kind of become a prisoner.
You create your own,
and it's like, no, it's more like time freedom and location freedom and the ability not to have those things stress you out.
Absolutely. And for me, I know I've bought some land, I've started a convenience store, and we've got all the things associated with that. But I didn't want to be a slave to it. I have a young Mexican kid that works for us, and he's absolutely great. I have my nephew that works in the store for me as well, and he speaks Spanish. And it's sort of taken the load off me to be able to work on the business rather than working in the business.
Yeah.
And that's where people get caught up. They're too busy working in the business to really enjoy themselves.
All right. We're back with Reece in Zacatitos. We were here, what was it, like 18 months ago? No, 14 months ago.
Yeah, it would have been.
Okay.
About 14 months ago, yeah.
And this area was not here, so we just walked to the house. It's done very well. Zacatitos has changed a little bit. There's a little bit more housing here, but it's still super quiet here. But how's it going?
Really good. Yeah, I was really happy to get the house finished. The build took about 8 months, and we were in February last year. And I've been really, really happy with it. There's the odd little construction issue that you have on a house. A few little leaks in the wall where the fitting wasn't tightened up. But you know what? The builder got right onto it and fixed all that stuff up, and everything has just been sweet ever since.
No, it looks really nice. I mean, just coming in, they have the garage, and just right out here, just the open land in front, the view.
Yeah, it's certainly,
right,
as far as Zacatitos goes, it's probably one of the best views in Zacatitos.
Yeah.
Because you can be close to the ocean, but you really only got that ocean view.
Yeah.
Whereas here we have the ocean view, watch the whales.
Yeah.
And we have the view over the whole of Zacatitos as well, which is pretty something.
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of people ask about the Vedanta, which is over here. And you're telling that it's kind of like soft opening, right?
They did a soft opening about 3 months ago. They haven't had a lot of people in there. From what I've heard, they've had 11 to 15 guests at any one time. But it's expensive if you're just going to go there and pay to stay, unless you're a member of the Vedanta group.
So if you're not timeshare, but that you said one night for the big suite?
I heard it's $11,000 US for one night for a big super luxury suite.
Damn.
That's that's expensive in anyone's money, yeah.
That's crazy. That's one like anchor out here. Just drawing, you might say like power comes there, but this house is off grid, but you don't have any issues. Like the solar panels run everything. Up
until about 4 or 5 years ago when they started to go mainstream with lithium-ion batteries, things were tough for solar. You would run out of power. You wouldn't have enough to run air conditioning in the summer. You'd have to be careful when you ran your pool pump. Most people had gas dryers in their house instead of electric dryers to dry their clothes. They had gas cooking instead of electric cooking. Nowadays, you can get a really, really good system for around $20,000 to $25,000 US. That's going to run your pool pump. It's going to run your air conditioners all night. It's going to run induction cooking. It's going to be just like being on grid, but no electricity bill.
That's crazy because I mean, a lot of times it's not there, but you don't have any issues with
No. We ran out of power twice since the house has been built. And it wasn't just because it was cloudy days. It was because of our own mismanagement.
Yeah.
I went to bed one night, left an air conditioner on that I shouldn't have left on instead of just having the 2-bedroom ones on. And I didn't switch the pool pump off, which draws quite a bit during the day. And it was cloudy days over summer. And we had about a day and a half where we didn't have power. But other than that, not a problem. A lot of people out here have upgraded to better batteries. And it's an ongoing upgrade on houses, unless you just spend the money, max it out straight away. Work out what you need and double it is the theory.
Last time we were here, it seems it's not like it is noticeable, but it's really not that much. It's still pretty wide open. But you say probably at any given time, there's probably about 10 builds going on in Zacatitos?
Yes, there's about 10 builds going on at any one time. And over the last 3 years, we've seen a substantial increase on people who have owned land down here for 25 years. And now they're turning around and deciding to build on it. And I don't know whether the last 5 years, what happened in the last 5 years, has influenced people to go and seek more recreational properties or build on properties that they've had. But just in the last 2 years, there's been a massive increase in construction here.
Coming out here, it just feels like a different world.
Yeah.
You know, it's quiet, no traffic, off-road. So, I mean, it's a really nice place.
It doesn't suit everybody. There's certain people that are going to buy a condo in San Jose and it's going to suit them. They're going to come down here 4 or 5 times a year. They're going to rent it out the rest of the time. They don't like having to drive on a dirt road for 3 or 4 kilometers to get in here. For the residents that have chosen to live out at Zacatitos, we wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah.
Off-grid now really isn't much of a problem. Our water is trucked in. It's 1,500 pesos for 10,000 litres. With 2 people at my house, and the swimming pool, especially in summer, uses a bit. We go through about 10,000 litres a month.
Yeah, it's not bad at all.
You know, what, $75 or something?
Yeah.
You know, it's really not that bad. I've looked into water generators where they make water out of the atmosphere.
Yeah.
And you can get ones that will make up to 500 litres a day for a reasonable cost. But when you look at $75 for a truck, 12 times a year,
doesn't make sense.
It sort of doesn't make sense to spend that sort of money still.
You just opened up a project that's your shirt.
Yeah.
What's it called?
Central Station, Los Zacatitos. It was sort of one of those things. It was a spur of the moment. I got an email one day of a lot of land that was coming up for sale. And it was priced too good. Like it was just, I think it was the cheapest lot of land sold in Zacatitos in like 6 years or something. And I showed all my friends and they didn't want to buy it. So I bought it and I'm like, what am I going to do with this bit of land? And in one way, it's the worst piece of land in Zacatitos, but it's the best bit of land for a commercial property. So I decided to put a convenience store on it, provide that service to the people of Zacatitos and the East Cape.
Yeah. And so like what, it's just a convenience store, but it's also like shipping and mail?
Yeah. We've also made it into a hub for mail. So anyone can order online and get it delivered out to us. At the moment, the municipality still has to manifest the address. The postcodes must be manifested by the municipality before they'll be recognized by the shipping companies. So things are sort of kind of a little bit antiquated in Mexico and you get used to the system. So at the moment, someone orders online, they get it sent to an address that we have in San Jose. And then every couple of days, we get those packages then brought out here. And then in the next month or so, we should have the postcode manifested for out here. We know what it is.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work yet.
Yeah. Wow, it's coming.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing in like Cabo. Like they'll build a new, and this guy's like, hey, how do I get...
What's the address?
Like, I don't think you have one right now, you know?
Yeah.
Like, if you need to, you can ship it to me or here or whatever. But I think it's kind of par for the course. But the more demand, that's why it's cool to see that, because in these areas, like you can do some entrepreneurial stuff like that and provide a service that people really need.
Absolutely.
As simple as getting the mail, but that's not just what that is. It's a convenience store.
We're going to be having a laundry service as well for a lot of people that have rentals out here or people that don't want to use their regular water up or don't have a washing machine. Surprising how many people don't. And they can just come and drop their laundry off. And we have someone that comes and brings fresh burritos and tortas out every day. And then she takes it back into the laundromat in town, gets washed and then brought back out the next morning. So it's all those little add-ons with a convenience store that it's really going to help the people of Zacatitos and the East Cape out. A friend of mine 2 summers ago and we cut some trails up the local mountains here. And then the locals sort of found out about these trails and asked if they could hike them. So it's ended up that we've built a bunch of hiking and dirt bike trails as well around the local mountains.
So you have, it's what, cabooffroad.com?
Yep, Cabo Off-Road. We do dirt bike rentals. We also supply different automotive parts for off-road vehicles.
Yeah.
Headsets, intercoms, and suspension for some of the pickup trucks to make them a little bit more Baja ready.
So if you're looking for a little Baja off-road adventure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm the one.
There you go.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like what I wanted to know. Is talking about this on the way over is like, what's the typical Zacatitos day?
Get up in the morning, walk the dog. The dog has a social outing with all the other dogs in the neighborhood getting walked. Swimming. There's a group that swim every day here in Zacatitos. And some people, it ranges in age from between 45 and 75 years old. Incredibly strong swimmers. We have famous surfers that live out here. By the afternoon, people are starting to congregate at Zach's Bar and Grill.
Yeah.
And then it sort of goes on from there. So really calming coming out here. Even my nephew that just got back from a trip to New Zealand last night, and he had not been back for a year, went back for two weeks. He came back here. He goes, "Oh, Reece, I'm just so happy I'm back." And I'm like, dude, you just come back from New Zealand. Everyone thinks it's so beautiful there. And he's like, man, this feels like home.
Yeah.
And it really does. It's calming. It's easygoing.
I always tell Noah this whenever we drive out this way and you just coming down. Because I get wrapped up in a lot of things, but I come out here and I'm like, man, in another life, I could be sitting in the skyscraper and like not knocking it, but like this is just, when you're here, it's almost, it's like, man, I see this and I come out and you can hear construction and it's coming, but it's so nice just having this serenity and tranquility.
Absolutely. And that's, I think, a lot of reason why people just fall in love out here. I was looking at that property further out on the East Cape and I was really, really interested in it. Seriously, I was that close to buying that. I just happened to come down this dirt road one day. It says Zach's Bar and Grill, Zacatitos. I drove down here. I went to the bar and I'm sitting here and I'm like, you know what? It's 20 minutes from San Jose.
Yeah.
I can get to the airport in 30 minutes taking Arroyo. And it's close to the grocery stores. It's close to everything that we need, but it's just far enough out of town.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with the place.
Yeah.
I started looking around straight away for a bit of land, and this was a bit that we found.
No, and this is great. I mean, this is perfect for, you could already resell this for more than what you put into it, but
I've had offers already.
Yeah. And it's like, but there's no need to, because this is just with the views going that way, this way. Yeah. Literally just we were watching Vedanta over there, and then I'm just seeing a bunch of whales jump, and I'm like, man, this is good.
Behind you guys.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah. Look, the whales, we're starting to see a few more ships on the horizon, like container ships.
Okay. Is it going to La Paz?
Well, they're not going to La Paz. They're going to a port up near Mazatlan.
Okay.
Because they're going on a train track straight into the States.
Okay.
And it saves going through the Panama Canal. We're seeing a few more of those on the horizon, which is sort of kind of cool to see a big ship going around there. And then the cruise ships cruise by, and then people in their expensive yachts go cruising by. And then especially this year with the whales. Last year's show was incredible. This year's show is already getting put on.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
So I'm curious, just out here, like, what would you say? Most people are here kind of part-time or what?
So it's increasing how many people are staying here all year round. There's about 140 finished houses here. And out of that, I would say that there's probably 20 to 30 permanent houses that are permanently occupied here.
Yeah.
The odd person will go away for a couple of weeks in the middle of summer.
Yeah.
But generally, there's about 20 to 30 houses where people are living here all year round, and that's increasing.
Because you have a sense of community, and I've just noticed this. For example, like where you were originally looking,
yes,
which is more in the middle of nowhere.
Yep,
not 20 minutes from San Jose, but you have the community here. And I've heard, and this is just other areas where it's like, hey, if you're in an area that has no like HOA and you're gone, like people see that you're gone. And since it's not like an HOA community, there could be the chance for somebody to break in. But here it feels like more like a community, but I'm just curious, has there been any?
Okay, so we haven't had a single break-in in over 2 years. We have guards at a guard station on the way into Zacatitos, and they tour right through Zacatitos every night on their motorbikes. They just sort of putt around and check up on.
So
all
that's
the houses.
Basically kind of like just paid for by all the.
Yeah. So basically, there's an AC set up. The AC board, the board of directors of the AC, they are voted in. And it's a volunteer funding program for the guards. Not everybody is in agreement with it. There's surprisingly some of the older residents here do not pay, not interested in paying. But most of the new residents that are coming into Zacatitos do pay. I pay twice because I have the convenience store and I have the house. And it's invaluable. If anything,
you should put up like how they have it in the HOA. Where it's like, it'll be like all the delinquent players.
They do that. They do publish the donors.
Yeah, that's kind of like, you gotta, I get it. Like, that's kind of why people moved out here to get away, but that's just a cheap way of saying that. But still, no, that's great because
it's excellent because we're not getting the break-ins. They're good security. They screen everybody coming in. And obviously there's access to the beach. It's public beach here, so anyone has access to it.
I think if you took somebody from Houston, Texas, and you're like, here, do you think this is developed? They'd be like, oh my God, there's like 95% land if you go this way to that way. Mm. But let's take those older residents that haven't, that have been here for 20, 30 years. Mm-hmm. Is there a cry from them that there's too much going on?
Definitely there is. When I started doing the convenience store, there was a lot of people sort of resisting any kind of change. And there's people that have lived in here for 25 to 30 years will not go to Zach's Bar and Grill.
Yeah.
They're like, no, we're not going to go. If they want to run into town 25 minutes or 20 minutes drive into town, screw around buying a jug of water, and then drive back again, when they could just go to the convenience store and buy it.
Yeah, it's just like, letting them have their way.
If that's what they want, they can have it.
So most people are like open to it as long as
most people are. Most people every day are coming in.
The funny thing, you remember this, Noah, last time we came out, we got to Zach's Bar early, and that's where we met.
That's right, yeah.
And, they're like, hey, they were super nice, the owner. And she's like, hey, what are you doing? We're like, oh, we're meeting somebody. And she kind of and then she saw you pull up and she's like, Reece, okay, yeah, he's cool, but it's almost like, let's see who it is before we approve if they're.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is like, there's a community here. And as long as this is the lifestyle you want, what you just described, then this is the place.
There's definitely a 95% of people in this community are just awesome. They're absolutely awesome people. And the other percentage are great people too. They just don't like to see change. They moved down here 30 years ago. They wanted to get away from everything.
I would have guessed that would have been higher. Because like you do that even in Cabo and people are like, it's still a higher percentage. But still, that's...
You know what? When you're offering people a time-saving thing by having the store, for example, or you've stopped theft and you have security and you have all these things right here and it's saving you time and money.
Nah, well, I mean, look,
it just makes...
You don't need the security until you need the security. And then all of a sudden,
you don't need a restaurant.
Think you would never, it's not like, exactly.
You don't need a convenience store until you need a convenience store.
You need a convenience store.
It's one of those things where most people are supporting it.
Yeah.
but for sure. And it's very good community. There's pickleball clubs. There's now a whole group of people that are hiking on the trails that we've cut up into the mountains. We did an off-road tour over to Todos Santos, all off-road from here. People start running through that in their head and they say, how can you get from here to Todos Santos without going on the road? Well, you can.
Yeah.
And it's that sort of thing. It's like put the message out and you get a whole group of people and we have a great day and we go off and do these things. And then my girlfriend's involved in the local pickleball club. Well, it's not really a club. It's just pickleball.
Yeah.
And it's a great community. It really brings everybody together because even if that person doesn't agree with one particular thing that someone else is doing, they're involved in something else that brings that community together. And we're seeing a lot of a change in demographic to a lot of younger people.
No, it's happening. Like
Everywhere.
I feel like Zacatitos is kind of like an extension, maybe a little bit behind, but we see that happening in Los Cabos area. I was speaking to somebody the other day from Alberta.
Okay.
And they mentioned that they're like, oh my God, I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah.
They said it was minus 22. So I'm like, hey, is that Celsius or Fahrenheit?
It's about the same, actually.
And then I started thinking, it doesn't matter.
It's cold.
Minus 22 Celsius or minus 22 Fahrenheit is just like, why would you do that? So
yes,
the follow-up will give you one more chance. How bad do you miss Canada? You want to...
Yeah, I just really don't miss it at all. Canada's really in a bad spot at the moment. It's in a bad spot politically. It's in a bad spot financially. We've seen a slowdown here with investment from Canadians because of the poor value of the Canadian dollar. And the general attitude of Canadians at the moment is it's too expensive when I come down here at the moment.
It's funny. I did this podcast with this guy, Lance Lambert, who's all residential news throughout the U.S. And he was going on about like, hey, it's so unaffordable, like this. He goes, but if you think it's bad, he goes, don't worry, it's worse in Canada. He's like, they didn't really have a 2008. So we had that and we had to come back through it. They didn't because of like the good banking that was going, or I would say the more conservative banking. He's like, it just kept climbing. So anyway, like you found your niche down here. It's cool.
Absolutely, yeah.
One of these days I'll get, I don't know about the 500 you got down there, but one of these days
the 450s, they're actually fairly tame.
I was asking Reece how long it took to do the trail, and he's like, well, I can do it in 25 minutes, but generally I got to help people get up there. So I was like, man, I don't know if I want to get on that yet and have Reece have to come save the bike, but it's a cool way to go explore and see another... Like just,
Absolutely.
All right, so you're doing that on the dirt bikes going from here to Todos Santos?
Yeah, and the side-by-sides, yeah.
So which one do you prefer to do that trip?
To do that trip, it doesn't really matter, but the side-by-sides is really good because you can carry other people.
What would that be like without, obviously when you get to Todos Santos, you might stop and do something, but if you just went there and came back, what is the length of that, or what in time, what is the length of that trip?
You know what? When I go there, it's going to take about 3 hours over there. By the time we stop and look at the view and make sure everyone's all right and make sure people don't get lost. And we're doing a lot of off-road, so we're not going in a straight line.
Exactly.
But it's a beautiful drive up over the mountain.
How many stoplights are there?
0.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah. And then when we get over to Todos Santos, we go down to Pescadero, we get gas, we go down to Cerritos, go to Sharkers, have a feed, and then we go back inland. But when we go back inland, we don't come back over the mountains. We actually go down towards Cabo, all off-road.
Yeah.
And then we follow the little inland road that is on the north side of the toll road.
Yeah.
And that takes you all the way and drops you right into San Jose.
Nice. I'm going to have to do that one time.
Yeah, it's a great drive and it's great fun on the bikes too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a whole day. Really, you got to reserve the whole day. And don't tell your wife that you're going to be back at a certain time. Tell her you'll be back when you return.
That one.
Yeah.
that'll be
Yeah.
But nice. Cool. Well, all right, one more plug, cabooffroad.com if people want to
book a dirt bike trip.
those kinds of trips.
Yeah, we do some pretty hard trails. I was used to riding real technical stuff up in Canada. So predominantly that's my enjoyable thing to do. But a lot of people just want to go out and see the East Cape or go over and ride up in the mountains and just really enjoy their day.
Yeah.
I get people from all over the world coming. It's amazing.
Yeah. No, and then, I mean, Reece, you're doing a lot of stuff here. So anybody that's interested in, because we were talking about it, man, some people are doing wild stuff out here where they're not permitting and, you know, you get yourself in a pickle there. So
Yeah.
anybody that wants to, this is a quality place.
Yeah. When it came to my builder, I'm super happy with him. He's built another 3 houses for me, for my friends. And he's building another wellness center for me and my girlfriend overlooking Acre and Flora Farm.
Right next to our project.
Right next to your new development. Yes.
Yeah, we got a condo development going on right there. And it's like, I don't know what's next door. We're sitting here just randomly. And I'm like, that's you. We were trying to figure out who was doing that. You know,
well,
so small world.
Really neat thing about that development that you've got there is that the builder has approached my builder to make sure that we are in line with what we want to do for landscaping and stuff, which is that's priceless.
Exactly. And there's not a lot of people like that. That's Omar. So we'll make sure.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can get a little discount to the yoga studio too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And
although if we go to Flora Farms after, you're buying, okay? We were joking.
Well, you're going to buy an Acre.
We stopped by there on the way before, and we were like following this car, and it was literally, we get on the road to come out on Zacatitos, the dirt road, and we saw the same car.
Yeah.
I said, watch that be Reece. I was like, I'm going to give him so much crap if he's eating lunch at Flora Farms and acting like he's a Zacatitos guy. So.
Oh, man.
Although every once in a while, but
my business is sucking the life out of me. So I can't afford to go there. My girlfriend, maybe, not me.
Yeah. By the way, your second residence is not bad. So
thanks, man. Good to
Reece,
see you again.
No, man, it's good to see you. So thanks for your time.
Yeah, I'm glad to do the update on the initial video.
Nice.
Cool.